we know mental illness doesn't discriminate. We got people from all walks of life that come in here. So the first thing that people need to feel is welcomed and appreciated for who they are, regardless of where they've been. That's really the key ingredient at first.
Thank you for tuning in to the Rescue Mission podcast. This is your host, Jay. I've got Blake with me today, and we are doing our first remote recording. We are at the Carriage House, not to be confused with the Carriage House.
Yes.
Because that is some confusion that comes up every now and then. We are at the Carriage House today. We're going to learn a little bit more about what's going on here at the Carriage House and talking a little bit about community as we're in the middle of Mental Health Awareness Month right now. I've got Tom and Mary with me from the Carriage House. How are we doing today?
Doing good, Jay. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm excited for this interview. I cannot hide my bias because I love the Carriage House. I have brought so many guys from the Rescue Mission over here and told them, like, if there's one thing you're going to do in your program that's going to, like, just take you to the next level, it's going to be becoming a member at the Carriage House. So for somebody today that's listening to this episode, they have no idea what's going on at the Carriage House, what would you tell them?
Yeah, right on. Thank you so much, Jay and Blake, both you guys, for being over here. Mary and I have been excited about doing this podcast with you for a little bit. And we are so grateful that in really the last year and a half to 2 years, the Carriage House has worked much more closely with the Rescue Mission than in previous years in our history. So it's been a growing relationship. So we're grateful for that. So just a little bit about the Carriage House. You're absolutely right about the name thing, as we get calls on a regular basis. It says, hey, I hear you guys have some beds over there that we could maybe stay at. Is this the Carriage House? And we say, no, this is the Carriage House. We're located on Lake Avenue. But let me give you that phone number for the Carriage House because we are grateful for what they do as well. But we do have a similar sounding name. But just a little bit about us. The Carriage House started in 1997. It was a group of family members here in Fort Wayne, Indiana that before that got together and decided that they wanted to bring something else to the Fort Wayne area for their loved ones who were suffering from mental illness. And they heard about a clubhouse model. They went and visited several clubhouses, and they decided that's what they wanted to do here. So that's how we got our start. What we do here is actually part of a worldwide movement of programs that all call themselves clubhouses. We all have different names. The Carriage House is the name of our clubhouse, but the clubhouse model itself is pretty unique in mental health. Although we've been around since the late 40s, the very first clubhouse started in New York City, a place called the Fountain House. We have expanded over the course of the last several decades, and now we're in 30 different countries worldwide. Wow. So they're all over the place, really. But the basic concept is very simple, Jay, as you know. Instead of doing traditional therapy or traditional mental health approaches, what we do is we provide a community. It operates very much like a co-op. So people come here and our participants we call members. They're volunteers, and you can volunteer to participate in any of the things that we got going on during the day here. That helps to keep the clubhouse itself open and running. So instead of doing therapies and things like that, you have a chance to come in and concentrate on your strengths and your abilities, which is great because you're now focusing on what you can do. But the real magic comes in the fact that what we're doing is we're helping one another. Yeah. So that's where really the magic happens, is because we suddenly realize, hey, wait a minute. I still got gifts to give. I got something to offer this world. And we start there. And that's the building block for pretty much everything else we do.
So when you get down to the nitty gritty, we're talking about the clubhouse model. What's going on every day at the Carriage House?
Yeah, we're open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. So It looks like any other business you might see on the block here, you know. So people come in at 8 o'clock, we get coffee going, we have a little breakfast in our dining room downstairs, and then we have our 9 o'clock meeting. And people will join the meeting to figure out, hey, first we introduce each other so we all know who we are. And then we find out what's going on in the house, some announcements. We do a little icebreaker question. And then we get on to the work of the day. And that work is, we have two teams, as you guys know. We have a first floor team and a second floor team. And each team has different responsibilities to keep the house going. So our first floor team is the ROC, R-O-K, stands for Reception, Orientation, and Kitchen. And those are the things they do. They have the reception desk. They do tours for new members or visitors. And we have the main kitchen and dining room. So we have breakfast and lunch every day. So they're busy about that for the morning. And then we break for lunch, have another meeting at 1, work some more. And then at 5 o'clock, we're done working. Now, we do have a social program on Monday and Wednesday evenings. We're open till 7 for dinner and hanging out, playing cards, whatever. And on Saturdays, we socialize. We're open every holiday. We have a lot of parties. But, yeah, that's kind of what we do on the day-to-day. It's a place to come and volunteer to do real work that helps other people.
Right on. Mary, what is it about the Carriage House that's special to you?
Oh, it's everything. Starting out here, I pretty much had nothing as far as income, or I was estranged from my family. But coming here, a friend of mine introduced me to the Carriage House, and I just, it was like an immediate family atmosphere that I was involved in, or I communicated with. And I had taken about a 9-month leave after I became a member. I had taken about a 9-month leave because my isolation was really bad. And they kept in touch with me. I mean, they called me. They sent me birthday cards. They sent me, "We miss you" cards. "We want you to come back." When I came back, it was like it was like a family reunion type thing.
Mm-hmm.
I never left. The community here is encouraging, if nothing else.
Yeah.
So
Talking about isolation, I think when it comes to mental health, that is the big elephant in the room. Doesn't matter what the diagnosis is, but it seems like isolation always rears its ugly head. How do you guys kind of combat that, knowing that you're in the mental health area and knowing like this is going to be a struggle with everybody?
We actually have what we call an outreach program.
Okay.
We make probably, I would say, 100 to 200 calls a week.
Wow.
To people that are sitting at home or we haven't seen in a while. Like I said, we have social media.
Okay.
We have Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram. We have our own actual Carriage House application on our phones, mobile app. We send out cards in certain cases, depending on the isolation and the member. We have mobile outreach. We actually go and visit them, send them a little care package. Other than that, we take care of, or we try to stay in touch with those people that aren't coming in all the time.
And that's really a key part of what we do. I think, we establish relationships. That's what our key thing is people come in, and really what it boils down to is this is a community where people are accepted and then are given the opportunities to achieve. So it's about acceptance and opportunity. The first thing that people experience, hopefully, when they come to the Carriage House is acceptance. No matter who you are, what your diagnosis is, where you've been in life, we know mental illness doesn't discriminate. We got people from all walks of life that come in here. So the first thing that people need to feel is welcomed and appreciated for who they are, regardless of where they've been. That's really the key ingredient at first. And then from there, once people realize that, hey, this is a safe place where people aren't going to judge me, people just accept me, and then they encourage me, we have all manner of opportunities through the work of the clubhouse to help people kind of engage in all kinds of work activities that help themselves and help other people. And from there, additional opportunities such as we have an employment program and an education program that are vital to what's next. So this isn't a place just to necessarily come and be. It's a place to come, get some help, for sure, help other people, but get some help with those life goals that you have. So we've been very, very successful at helping people go back to work. That's a big part of our days. So I can describe to you a little bit about the employment program.
Yeah, I actually participated in the transitional employment here when I first got here. Like I said, when I first got here, I had no income. I had no income for 3 years. And the first thing they asked me to do is, do you want to go to work? And I participated in the transitional employment. Tom's going to explain it in a minute. Worked at TJ Maxx for 9 months. Had an income for the first time in 3 years. And that confidence it gave me lasted quite a bit.
Yeah.
So you went from TJ Maxx to somewhere else. Right?
Yes, I went from TJ Maxx to Holiday Inn.
Okay.
I'm now a night auditor up at Holiday Inn, where I actually bought my first car.
Okay.
I've been there close to 3 years. And I just purchased my new home, moving in last March.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, so Mary's had quite the clubhouse story.
Yeah.
And while it is fantastic and amazing, it's not unique in the sense that lots of people come to Clubhouse and something just clicks. Something unlocks for them through the experience of belonging to this community and feeling that support and that love. You mentioned isolation. One of the things we do for sure is we keep track of everybody who says they want to be a member. So people come and go as they please. You're completely a volunteer here while you're here. Come and go as you please. Do whatever it is you want to do. But if you don't show up, we notice that.
Yeah.
And that's where we kick in with the outreach. Because you're right, Jay, isolation is really the thing that can make anybody's mental health, whether you've been diagnosed or not. If you're isolated, it's a dangerous place. So we do all those connections to people who are falling away. And that clearly made the difference. That brought you back, didn't it, Mary?
Yeah, it actually did. Like I said, I went 9 months. My isolation got really bad. Didn't want to talk to anybody, but I kept getting these letters and these cards and these phone calls. And it was actually a unique experience. And when I came back, it's like I never left.
Yeah.
So it's one thing to talk about a culture of being welcoming, and it's a whole nother thing to flesh that out.
Mm-hmm.
How is it that you're making people feel welcomed as soon as they get here? Because, I mean, that's the big thing is like, I was coming here for bringing guys as part of my job, and it was like, whoa, I want to become a member here because I'm feeling so welcomed by everybody here. How do you create such a welcoming culture?
Man, you know what? I think it starts from all of us knowing that we've been there. You know, we've all been there with that initial diagnosis and that tough journey. We know how hard it is just to open the door and walk through the Carriage House. To that in and of itself says something to us. It says, hey, here's somebody who's coming in here. They're vulnerable. They've come in to say, hey, I need something. I need somebody.
Yeah.
I need something. You know, I need community. And so we all get that we've been there. And so we just embrace each other by nature at this point. It really is contagious. So we're really very proud of the fact that we have that welcoming thing. But the truth is, the other part of this too, Jay, is we need the help.
Yeah.
We're intentionally understaffed so that the volunteers that come in, this clubhouse is run by our membership. So this is another very unique part of what we do. There's nothing that happens here at the Carriage House that is staff only or member only. We are hyper inclusive in that way. Again, people have felt put aside, and that is only added to the isolation that many people feel with mental illness. So you feel like you've been set aside from society. Maybe you're not working right now. Maybe the most of your interactions are with maybe some, and well, we all need mental health professionals to help, you know, with case managers and doctors. But that's more about our needs. Who needs us? The key thing about the clubhouse is we really need volunteers to come in here and make this a better place.
Yeah.
So people find need, they find that they're needed, and they find purpose, and they find a reason to get up and get out every day. Is those people really need me? Hey, they like me. They want me to be around. That is a bit of a unique experience for an awful lot of us with mental illness.
Yeah.
I'd love to talk on that a little more about inclusion. And I think that's something that happens with mental illness when someone is maybe diagnosed, or even if they have some tendencies that aren't quote unquote what people normally see, they already feel like they're not included. They feel like they've been unincluded from society. Talk about how important it is to make them feel included when they come here.
Well, I freaked out once when I first got here when the director comes up and asks me, Mary, what do you think we should do with this money? And I'm sitting here going, what? And he just wanted to know. He goes, do you have any ideas? You know, should we do this? Should we do that? And it gave me, it's like somebody values my opinion when I get here. When we have our meetings, it's under consensus of everyone, not just the directors or the associate director. It's the entire clubhouse. And everyone, no matter how far-fetched their ideas may be, because I've come up with some good ones, we are heard. And they care about what we have to say. And that's just that's amazing to me.
Yeah, so structurally, Blake, you're right. I mean, people have felt put aside. And so how we create that inclusion is, as I mentioned, none of the work here, all of the work is done by members and staff working side by side. All of the space in the clubhouse is for members and staff. None of us have personalized space. There are no staff-only or member-only desks or areas. We keep this place open for everybody. People don't have to ask permission to go here or there. So you can go wherever you want. And all the meetings, as Mary mentioned, are members and staff. Members and staff facilitate them. And then we all get a chance to participate. And then we decide, based on consensus, what way we want to go forward. So that means members are helping to write grants. Mary and I are participants at the board. Mary's on our board of directors, so members participate. And you're not on the board? Well, you're always giving your opinion.
I should be on the board.
We do have other members on the board of directors.
Yes, we do have other members on the board. I personally am not on the board of directors, but I am on the board. I work with the board members in like our fundraisers and things like that, but I'm not actually on the board.
You're on one of the fundraising committees.
Yes, I'm on most of the committees.
Okay, so you're a committee member for the board of directors.
Yes.
Okay. So you're very involved there. So the point being, members and staff are working together at all levels of this organization. We have members who are very good with accounting, so they are involved in helping us balance the books and helping us with fundraising. And Mary and I serve together on the interview committee. So we interview new staff. We're involved in the evaluation of all of our current staff. So all the decisions we make, from the price of coffee to how we want to spend the money that we do have in our budget, those are all decisions we make together. So that all of those factors create that inclusion. And it's true. You can have whatever idea you want. We're grateful for it. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to do it. We're going to do it every time, but you're going to have a voice in what happens here. And so that's where that ownership of this community really comes in. And people feel like, hey, this is my place. This is my community. And they're right. Yeah. It is. It's their community.
I think it would be one thing entirely differently if it was an entire staff operation, because then it would just feel like another one of your medical appointments or case manager appointments you have to go to. Not that those are bad, but
institutionalized.
Clinical.
It can feel really clinical.
For sure. And make no mistake, we are so grateful for the partnerships with Bowen Center and with Park Center and Parkview and private psychiatries and counselors and PBH and everybody that is involved in this community, the Rescue Mission, St. Joseph Missions, all kinds of places that are involved in trying to help stabilize and support people in their recovery. And so in those settings, the setup is different, and rightly so. That's the way those organizations run, and they're very effective at helping people gain some stability with mental health issues. But then there needs to be something next, and we tend to be the next thing for an awful lot of people that opportunity center that people can come and really achieve those life goals, like buying your own car and getting your own house, which is what Mary's achieved.
Or going back to school.
People have gone back to school. Stephen Manning, who we're sitting right now in the Chav Studios, which is where we create videos for the house here. This was a project that our good friend Stephen Manning helped us build, and he's a member of the Carriage House, and he helped us create this studio so that we could, in fact, do videos to educate people about the clubhouse, but also share news and information on a regular basis. But he went back and got his master's degree in secondary education, and he has served not only on our board of directors, but he served for
International
our
Clubhouse.
Wow.
International, Clubhouse International is the organizing body for all clubhouses all over the world, and he served on that board for several years. So he went all the way worldwide. He went to Paris.
Wow.
He's gone everywhere, all over the
yeah.
world, with his efforts with Clubhouse. So
That's
who knows
awesome.
where people can go.
Yeah, I'd love to go back a little and talk about that partnership that you spoke of with other organizations and kind of the importance of that, but also more specifically related to the rescue mission in the last few years and what really that has helped you at the Carriage House be able to do that maybe previously you were struggling with, or even if it just helped kind of shore up some sides and made sure that you guys were able to do things that you wanted to focus on.
Yeah, for sure. And this is really one of the great highlights of what's going on recently with Carriage House and Rescue Mission, this growing partnership. First, I would say, as I mentioned, we know that what we got going on here at the Carriage House is important for an awful lot of people, but it's not everything. Helping people get to the right doctors and crisis care at the hospital, or therapy, or case management, housing supports, all that stuff is a critical part of recovering from a serious mental illness for an awful lot of people. So we know we don't do it alone. We really don't. So we value community partnerships here, and we do a lot of reaching out to different groups so that we can work together more closely. But I will say this, I'll give a lot of credit to the rescue mission, who has really ramped up in the last several years the efforts to specifically support people with mental illness. And so it was a few years ago. I can't remember the gentleman's name, you guys, who's kind of a big shot over there at the rescue mission. He's got a lot of tattoos.
Dave Pitcher.
Dave's the dude who he'd come over for a tour one time. And he and I really kind of connected, and we were like, man, we got to do something about this. So he really made an effort to see about taking the next steps in the partnership. So he brought over the entire team over to Chad's house. Were you in that meeting?
I wasn't in that meeting, but I was one of the ones that he's like, you need to go out there and get a tour.
Yeah. So he initially brought everybody he could. He filled our conference room at Chad's house, our guest house next door, with all kinds of people from the rescue mission, and we had some members and staff, and we just began the conversation again, about how we need to do this better, and so that was it. But that was the beginning of where we are now, and just over the years now, we've just grown accustomed to reaching out to you guys. We've done presentations there, and several of us have had tours there, and like you said, you and your team have come over several times with guys and just gave people another choice. Nobody has to be here, but to have this as an option, I think, has been working well for quite a few folks.
Yeah, I would always tell guys, I'm in marketing now, but before I was in marketing, I was on our outreach team, and I would tell guys, like, let me give you a cheat code for the outreach program.
Yeah,
like, that's to make some friends. Like, if you can make some friends and you can find something positive to do, you will graduate this program. And there is a place where you can go and you can make friends and you can accomplish things. And it's like, and I would tell them, like, I cannot make you and I will not make you go to the Carriage House. But it's like, but if I could give you a big old piece of advice, it's like drinking more water every single day. Like, if you can do anything, like, go to the Carriage House and get connected. So I was bringing guys out every single day. I'd have them standing outside of my office. It was a common thing. After lunchtime, if you hung out outside Jay's office and you told him you want to go to the Carriage House, like, I would take you to the Carriage House.
That's awesome.
And I used to joke with you that I'd gotten the tour so many times that I could probably give it.
You probably could, man. He's got our history down, everything. So,
so if somebody if somebody wanted to foster a culture like this, let's say they're listening to this podcast episode and they're like, I would love to do something like this for those in my community. Maybe because I'm thinking like my hometown of Portland, Indiana.
Yeah.
Hour south of there. There's nothing like this there, but I could almost guarantee you there's a lot of people struggling with mental illness down there. And if they wanted to start, where would you tell them to start if they wanted to begin creating a culture like this?
And I'm so glad you asked that question. There's a real benefit going on right now in the state of Indiana, because we've recently helped to formally begin Clubhouse Indiana, which is a coalition of clubhouse programs across the state. We have now 11 accredited clubhouses in the state of Indiana, and that organization is run by one of the former staff here, Mr. Mike Shorter.
Okay.
So if you're in Indiana and you want to learn more about it, you can contact us or, Google Clubhouse Indiana, and you'll find a great bit of information about some supports locally. Of course, Clubhouse International has a wonderful website as well. So you can get a lot of great resource information about starting a clubhouse in your hometown if that's something you're interested in. We just actually had a group from Warsaw here.
Mm-hmm.
What was that? Was that Monday? Or was that Friday?
That was last Friday.
Man, the days run together. So much
know.
going on here sometimes. So we regularly host people here at the Carriage House. We have a guest. We're lucky enough to have a guest house, a 6-bedroom guest house with a conference room. So we are welcoming anybody to come up here and spend a couple of nights here free of charge. Just come check, take a look, have a tour. And you'll find that in the clubhouse world, that same spirit that you have in individual clubhouses that are open and accepting and willing to help. You get that everywhere you go when you find a clubhouse. So you could call any of the clubhouses listed on the websites, and you would probably get some great support and information.
Yeah. Well, I have thoroughly enjoyed this podcast interview.
Definitely.
Some of the big takeaways for me, thinking about humility when it comes to mental health. If you've never received a mental health diagnosis, I would bet money that you know somebody that's received a diagnosis, or that you would encourage, to receive a diagnosis so that you can make progress towards that. But thinking of the humility that comes with creating a welcoming culture, there's no holier than thou attitude in the Carriage House. It's a culture of acceptance. And as we're in Mental Health Awareness Month and we're talking about community, I think that's everything. That's one of the keys to the community, is that humility. Remembering in the month of May, as we process through mental health and as it's getting a little bit more awareness this month than other months, we're hitting on the importance of, you can't do this on your own. You can't do it in isolation by yourself. You need people that reach out to you when you're low, when you're struggling, that reach out to you and bring you back out of that isolation. So those are some of the big takeaways for me.
You got it. You got it right there, Jay. And to know this, you can make that recovery. Recovery is possible. And then guess what? You can help other people make that recovery too. So you can help yourself, and you can be the difference for someone else as well. That's hopeful stuff.
You just tied that in the perfect bow.
Yeah, that for
Bingo.
me, that was the thing that helped me through my recovery, is because I had people here depending on me to help them. And that was a lot. That had a lot to do with how I recovered. Depends on how they recovered.
Yeah.
Look, this is a secret here. Not really a secret, but Mary is known as Mama Mary here
Yes.
too, because she has a whole lot of people that she supported. During the pandemic, she was her own mobile operation unit, just doing deliveries, helping people, and she just has that kind of heart. And so she's been responsible for not only her own recovery, but the recovery of many other people too. And we're so blessed and lucky to have you, Mary.
Oh, thank you.
So we don't typically give out homework at the end of the Rescue Mission podcast, but it seems like if you know somebody, as we're thinking through mental health in the month of May, maybe struggling, maybe there's some signs that they're struggling, reach out to them. Get a cup of coffee with them.
For sure.
Maybe take them for a tour of the Carriage House. If you've never had a tour of the Carriage House, you should go and get a tour of the Carriage House. But I would just strongly encourage anybody listening to reach out. Remember that community is everything. Community is a vital part of mental wellness. So Tom, Mary, I cannot thank you guys enough for coming on the podcast today.
For sure.
I
This
had
was
a blast.
fun.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll do it again sometime.
fun,
Mary.
yeah.
This is
Let's
great.
Let's do it again sometime.
Sounds
All right.
cool.